to click that button. So see, I forgot, it's been a minute. The meeting is being recorded. Please be respectful of those speaking and do not interrupt. If anyone is disruptive to the point of preventing the township board from conducting business, you will get one warning before being removed from the meeting. If there is a problem with Zoom, the meeting will be reset utilizing the same meeting information. If the meeting is unable to continue, a notice will be posted on the township Facebook page when we get it back up and in our website. Reminder to the board members that emailing or texting is not allowed during a public meeting. And please be patient as we're all learning this new system, and we'll attempt to be as deliberate as possible and get through this as a team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fry. So let's move on to approval of agenda, and this will require a motion and a roll call.
This is Bigford. I move to approve the agenda as presented.
This
Is
is
there support?
Marcy, I'll second. Oh,
Is there any further discussion? I'll call the roll. Bigford,
Yes.
Marcy,
yes.
Osmond, yes. Helmrich,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
motion carries. Now we can move on finally to public comments. If you would like to make some, pardon?
One quick question, who seconded?
I did.
Marcy.
Marcy.
Marcy,
Thank you.
Marcy.
Technology, right?
right.
Mhm.
I'm writing them down too, Joe, so
Thank you.
if you need anything,
Me too.
we can. Public comments. If you'd like to speak, you can either raise your hand or unmute yourself or make yourself heard, and you will have 3 minutes. And to share your thoughts with the township board. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Glenna, you have the floor.
Thank you. Hello, friends.
Hello.
I gave the same talk or presentation on Monday night to the Saugatuck City Council and plan to do the same thing next Monday with the Douglas Council. But I'm here tonight with you to talk about the process of Allegan County doing their reapportionment of their districts. And I'm not sure how much you know, so I'm just going to sort of start from the beginning. We all know that there's redistricting going on statewide, and it's a different process this 10 years because state of Michigan residents really didn't like all the gerrymandering that was going on. But every 10 years, each county also does a reapportionment based on the census data. And they don't, the same rules aren't applicable to them as were voted in by Michigan residents. So there is a five-member commission that was assigned to look at this reapportionment. There's 4 Republicans and 1 Democrat on that commission. And so if, thanks for pulling that up, Joe. If you look at this, this is the current map. If we could show the whole thing. As we all know, there's 7 districts now. We're in District 1. And since this was from census data 10 years ago, the new census data just came out and we've grown by about 9,000 in population. And as a matter of fact, every 10 years from data as far back that I have, 1970, we've always grown in population as Allegan County. But we've grown 9,000, which is about 8% growth over the last 10 years. And as a matter of fact, we're in the top 5 counties in the state with the highest growth rates right now. So we are a growing county. So if anything, they should be considering moving up the number of districts instead of down, I would think. But that's not, in fact, what has happened. And this bottom map here is a map that the current commission, by a vote of 4-1, approved at their September 28th meeting. And so now we are in District 2, and you can see that goes almost all the way, the green one, almost all the way across Allegan County and goes toward east of Hopkins. And we are currently represented by Dean Campinga, who, by the way, made public comment at one of their public meetings and said that he believes that they should stay with 7 districts, and for the commissioners, that's working well. But he currently represents just over 15,000 people. And with this new map, whoever our commissioner ends up being, could be Dean again, who knows? That's increased, if we round to the nearest thousand, by almost 10,000 people. So I think we have a hard enough time being heard over here on the Lake Shore as it is. And now our commissioner is going to represent 10,000 more people. And I think that really dilutes our voice from this area. You can also see that in the current map, the 7 district, Lake Shore is divided into 2 districts, and in the new one, it's divided into 3. So I think, again, that sort of dilutes our say in what's happening along the lake shore and the river and things like that. So I'm opposed to this. You know, I don't know what you guys feel about this, but I really do think it's harmful to us. And then we'd have to live with this map for the next 10 years. So what's happening is on October 20th, that commission is meeting again because there seems to be some procedural question. They had to wait 30 days after the census data was released before they could vote on a map, but it had to be done before 60 days. So they had this little window of time. When they voted on this on September 28th, it wasn't within 30 days, depending on what date they assign of when they got the census data. It's a little complicated. So the state got the census data. They voted on it after 30 days according to that date, but the county didn't get it until a couple weeks later. So they were prior to 30 days and it might not be valid. So the commission is meeting again and is going to vote again or do a resolution or something just to approve the same map. So I think this is our opportunity to go and be heard as citizens and oppose this and see if we can get them to change their mind or change their vote if you're opposed to this. So that meeting is October 20th. I have that information at the top of this map, Joe, of the date, the time. Of course, they meet at 9 in the morning, so it's hard for people who work to get there. And then that's where it's going to be held. So you can either go make public comment at that meeting and or submit something in writing to them if you want. Now, Monday night, the Saugatuck Commission asked me to write either a sample letter or just put a bunch of bullet points down. There's maybe a couple more points than what I've talked about here of why this is bad. And send that to the city manager, Ryan Heiss, who was going to distribute it to their members. Chris Peterson asked me if it would be good as a council to come up with a resolution, and I said that would be great, but of course it wasn't on the agenda, so they couldn't vote on that Monday. And they are not meeting again before the October 20th meeting. So I think that they are looking at doing it individually, and I don't know who might step forward and either make comment or send a letter, but I'd be happy to send you guys all that same information I sent them, along with this map, although Joe and Cindy have this, so you could forward it. And I'd really appreciate it if we got involved, because I think 10 years to change this is going to be a problem. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
I don't know if you can see me.
Go ahead, Abby.
I think that was Brenda.
Brenda, sorry.
Yes. Glenna, does this mean, okay, there was a group that started, I think Garn was on it. We were working on what we would recommend, and it was all along the lake shore. Oh, there I am. Did anything ever happen with any of that? Did it go anywhere? I mean, what I'm saying is then they went and they did, there were 3 or 4 speaking events. And I'm just wondering, so basically did the state or whomever, they just pretty much did what they wanted regardless?
I think you might be, are you talking about statewide redistricting?
Brenda's referring to the communities for the U.S. congressional district apportionment.
Right, and that was very important to do, but that's a separate.
Oh, that is, okay.
That's a separate process than this. This is just Allegan County, yep.
Oh, the districts within Allegan.
For county commission. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
A couple other things.
I do agree with you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the guidelines that they were operating under, I think they violated one of them for apportionment, and it's actually Michigan law. They have to make these districts as compact and square as possible. And you can see that they've really diluted ours by, having it cross all the way across the
Yeah.
county. And they have to not consider any partisan political advantage. You can run these maps through analytics. And the map that the 4 Republicans voted in here is the most partisan map possible. Like it basically means that Democrats have no possibility at
Yep.
all of even winning 1 seat. So that's a whole nother issue, which, again, I don't think is right. We have at least 35% Democrats in Allegan County, so we should hold at least 35% of the seats based on that.
Thank you, Glenna. Is there any
Sure.
other questions for Glenna? Maybe Abby?
No, I don't have any. I'd be interested to see in what Commissioner Kappinga has to say, what his reasoning is, because, the map doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense to have less people or less commissioners in a much larger population. So I would be interested to see how he reconciles those questions.
Well, actually, he spoke at the meeting and advocated for it to stay at 7.
Right, but did
Yeah.
he give any reason?
He just said that that they're operating efficiently now, and he sees no reason to change
Okay,
with 7. And so, but the only other commissioner to speak, Allegan County Commissioner, was Jim Story, and he also said he thought they should stay at 7.
but no, nothing to back up their,
Well, again, I think just because they were operating efficiently, and they thought they should stay at that.
Right.
So, but obviously this commission, the reapportionment commission, didn't agree or whatever, and they still pushed for that 5 district map.
okay.
Mhm. So would
Thank
you like me to send you those kind of talking points and we can distribute them? Okay, I can do that, right? I don't have to stay for the whole meeting, so I'll do it right when I get off.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Glenna.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment? I think Elma had her hand
Oh,
up.
it's Eileen Madigan.
Eileen,
I'm just here because I live on Old Allegan, next to the person that is on the agenda at 6354 Old Allegan. It doesn't have that address, but it's 6354 Old Allegan, that me and the neighbors have been trying to get something done with for years now. And I know you guys are doing your best, but I'm just curious as to what is happening.
Okay, we'll get to that on the agenda, and I think you'll get all your answers.
Excellent.
Does anybody else want to speak at the public comment section? I'm not seeing anybody. Last chance for public comment. Okay, we'll go ahead and close that portion of the meeting and move on to the consent agenda. Mr. Fry, do you want to just give us a quick overview?
Yep. So the bills, as you see, are total $112,186.62 for all bills and payroll. The minutes are here to be approved. The original draft I sent out had some errors to it. So the one that is in the packet that was published does have the corrections in it, and that would be related to the interview for appointment. And then there was a carryover from the last ones about appointing Abby as the chairperson if Cindy wasn't able to keep on the meeting call. So that got fixed. The disbursements are in there. John, if you want to go over those, you can. I believe there are 2 disbursements in this package, and then I did not receive any correspondence.
Okay, I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
This is Aldrich. I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there support?
I'll support Helmrich.
Okay, we have a motion and a support. Is there any further discussion? I'll go ahead and do a roll call. Aldrich,
Yes.
Helmrich,
Yes.
Bigford,
Yes,
Marcy,
Yes,
Osmond, yes, motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. And then we can move on to new business. We have a bike trail grant resolution. Mr. Fry, would you like to give us the thumbnail version?
Yep. So this is for the Transportation Alternatives Fund grant, which goes through MDOT. That will be the first of the 2 grants that we will be applying to for the trail extension. This is a simple resolution that says that we support the application for the tri-community and that we agree to the $10,000 match. And we did agree to that in the initial resolution. And that resolution said we would meet the city of Saugatuck's up to 10,000, but they came up to 10,000, and that's where. So there's total of $20,000 from that. What I know of, I do not know what Douglas is doing currently, but so this is just simply reiterating our support for it for the grant application.
Okay, I would entertain a motion for that resolution. If anybody would like to step up.
This is Helmrich. I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2021-14, support of Blue Star Trail North section.
Is there
this is
support?
Marcy. I'll support.
Any further discussion? Helmrich,
Yes.
Marcy,
Yes,
Osmond, yes. Aldrich,
Yes.
Bigford,
yes,
motion carries. Thank you, Joe. We'll move on to our next one, which is what our guest is here to hear about. And that would be the code enforcement update on Old Allegan Road. Mr. Fry, would you like to go ahead and give us a just brief description of that?
Yep. So in your packet, which is on page 33, you'll see on page 34, there is a kind of an overview summary of what we've been working on over the last 2 years from Administrator Wells. We have been working through the court system in order to get this property into compliance and get it cleaned up. Ms. Madigan has been in contact with me, and she keeps us informed on, if something is going on or not, as well as a number of other residents. So the township has been working on this project cleanup for the last 2 years. And over that time, we've gone through the court system, which is a very lengthy and, not the most helpful process to get something cleaned up right away. So what we did when I first started was we got the consent agreement and put in a dumpster where the property owner, Mr. Otting, was to clean up the outside. We did a little bit, not a whole lot, and that was put on his property taxes because he did not make his payments to repay for that. The county health department has been contacted, and they were required to clean up the sewer system that they have. And now, in order to work through compliance, we did go back to court to get this consent judgment, which allows us to go onto the property to clean up the property ourselves. That will require us hiring a team to go out there, and we'll work with the county sheriff to get an escort to make sure everything goes through calmly and collectively to get the property into compliance. That cost of that will then be put on to the property through a tax lien, and that will be how we get repaid if everything goes accordingly. It is our recommendation to proceed with this cleanup, as it has been quite a blight for all the residents involved. And we have been working diligently through the process to get this taken care of between myself, zoning administrator Wells, and our attorney. Are there any questions from the board members?
Seeing no questions.
Can I make a comment, Cindy?
Yes,
This is Bigford. I just wanted to just make a brief comment that this is not the type of item on our agenda that we feel happy or good about, and it's unfortunate situation. And but as Joe has so nicely outlined, all of the other options have really been sought out and exhausted. So I do support this next action.
thank you, Abby. I think that that's a very good comment. I've been involved in code enforcement for a long, long time. And when people don't voluntarily comply, it is a long process and an expensive process. And we do want to see this cleaned up. So,
I'd like to just add, Helmrich, that, this goes back to when manager Griffin Graham was with us. This has been going on for quite a while, and the property owner remains delinquent in paying their property taxes. So it's a concern on many fronts, and especially for the poor neighbors that live adjacent to this home.
thank you, John. I would entertain a motion.
This is Marcy. I move to authorize staff to engage services and authority within the consent judgment from September 8th, 2021 to clean up the property at 6354 Old Allegan Road.
Support?
This
This
all
is Bigford.
Go ahead, Abby.
I have a motion.
Bigford.
I have a motion by Marcy and support from Bigford. Is there any further discussion? Marcy,
Yes.
Bigford,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Helmrich,
Yes.
Osmond, yes, motion carries. We will get started on that.
So just to let everyone know what the next steps are so that Ms. Madigan can also be aware. What we'll be now doing is working to contact a cleanup service, and then we'll be working to coordinate that cleanup service with the sheriff's department in order to get this process. So hopefully we can get this before snow flies. So that is the next steps that we will be pursuing now.
Thank you, Joe. Building renovation project management services review and approval. Joe, you're up again.
All right, let me just make sure I get my notes ready so I can take them.
Take your time.
That way I can remember when I get to the office Monday, what I need to do. All right. So as this has been a process that we have started since we started talking about this budget that we are currently in, and that is looking at building renovations and upgrading our office so that we can meet the modern day requests for services and be committed to excellence in all that we do here in Saugatuck Township. So what we initially did was got a concept with MOE that we were very fortunate to be partnered with, and they helped us put a concept. The board did talk about that and give it a thumbs up. And we then put out a request for proposals for project management services. The RFP or request for proposal for the long term, but the RFP went out. It was about a month long. We sent it out to seven firms within the state. We did get a call from Builders Exchange, which is a service that sends out information to construction contractors across the state and region. And we did get 2 applicants, I believe, through that process, as well as one of the firms that did submit, which we did get 3. The RFP was broken into two sections. The first section just focused on basic services, which is to create contract construction documents, provide the bidding assistance, and then to be on site to coordinate and project management when we do all the renovations and whatever we finalize to do. Section 2 gave add-on projects. So for an example, if you buy a new car, what trim level do you want? And these are kind of the shopping lists that we had previously identified that included a new air system, a upgrade to our technology so we can have rewiring things, because right now everything is scattered and it's not the best for service, and some other items. Part of it also included getting a cost for a outside facade improvement design so that we could get costs to see if that would be an option further, as well as some general inspections of the building just for capital improvement costs. So we did get three. Two of the firms are from out of state. One is from Indiana and one is from Illinois. And the third one is from Michigan. I did rank them through a bid scoring sheet that is included in your packet. There was a total of 55 points possible. No one got 100, which is fine. So on the first page, which is 37, goes over Abbenmarsh. Abbenmarsh did receive 44.5 points. The first section cost would be $27,000. The second section cost, which I did ask for ranges for this category, is between $7,000 and $12,000, depending on what we choose. And that's, just to let you know, that's only for the service of providing it. It's not for construction or doing that particular option. Both for Abbenmarsh, do both sections would be between $32,000 and $38,000. Jones Petrie Rafinsky, which is one of the out-of-state firms, scored 41 points. The section cost for number one was $25,500. I split that 500 between the two of them is travel costs. They did mention that it'd be $1,000 for travel costs and items like that. So I just split it between the two sections. So I just wanted to note that for you. Section 2 range, they did not follow the instructions to give a range. They just gave a flat number of 6,500. But as I mentioned, that extra 500 is between that $1,000 split. So that's where I put it. So they did not follow the instructions. That's why their point score was lower. Both sections would cost $32,500. The third firm, which is also out of state, got 25 points, and that was being generous. They really didn't follow the requirements in the RFP, which I do believe is important to follow the instructions that we put out, because that is a reflection of how they will perform for us. If they can't follow our instructions here, as we look down the road, it might not be the best. I did ask for ranges, and they only provided, they gave a different breakout on how to do costs completely differently, which is one of the reasons why they were lower as well. It is my recommendation to go with Abbenmarsh, though they are a little bit more expensive on the section 1 costs. I do believe by following instructions, being in communication with myself throughout the process, they called twice to make sure that they understood the instructions, and then they did ask for a visit, and they which I granted, which anyone was available for, to see what they would be working with. So I do believe they gave us the best number. And that would be my recommendation, is to go with them. They've also done work for municipalities in Allegan as well. So that they're a local firm that knows our area. Any questions?
Did you follow up on the other ones they worked with to see if they liked them or not, or?
I did not follow up and do those reference calls.
Mhm.
The reason why is from the base level for all three firms. I did feel that Aben Marsh understood our project more and what we were looking for versus the other two. And to
And
me,
did they actually come and look, or did they just request to look?
Aben Marsh called to make sure it was okay to come and look, which I said it was all right. I believe I did only hear once from JPR, which is the Jones Petrie Rafinsky, and I didn't even hear from the other firm. They just submitted, which it was nice to have 3 submittals, but Aben
Yeah.
Marsh did a lot more checking in and making sure that they could give us the best proposal, where the other firms, the one did a good job without getting a phone call and asking questions, as much as the studio didn't even ask questions. They didn't.
I do appreciate that it's a Michigan-based company. I think that's kind of important. So I feel comfortable with Aben Marsh if you are.
No, it's Helmrich. I'd like to add, Aben Marsh, I believe they're actually West Michigan based, and they've been proactive in the past. They have come to visit us just so we knew who they are and to be on our radar. I think as
Nice.
long as 2 years ago. So, they're out there, they're local. As Joe said, they've done work for, we think, believe the city of Allegan, as well as Allegan County. And, we've heard from Commissioner Kapinga that there's been a lot of new build and renovations in the county and the city. So I concur. And I like that they're very local.
I do too. I like that a lot.
So I do have their proposal in front of me. So they did the Griswold Auditorium Facilities Assessment in Allegan, as well as an assessment for the city of Grand Haven.
Okay.
So they have done work in our area. The project manager that would be assigned to this project also called to make sure that we understood that he is based out of Holland. They do have their main offices in Benton Harbor. Yes, Benton Harbor. They do have an office in Spring Lake, and the project manager is only 15 minutes away, so we'll be
That's
very
really
close.
nice. That's a definite plus, I think.
This is Bigford. Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I can't see you.
Oh, my camera's off.
We're nodding our heads, but you can't see us. So.
Good. So is that proposal not to exceed 27,000? How does that work? Or is there a price range for a little wiggle room, or can you speak to that, Joe?
The cost of the 27,000 is to do the base services, so it should not exceed 27,000. And if there is a change order, that will of course come to the board. The second section that I mentioned, that does range depending on what's going on, and that will come to the board for during the discussion phase. What things do we want to add on, and here's how much it's going to cost. So they would work through us and we would pick how much we want to spend in this phase.
Okay, thank you.
Are you ready for a motion, Cindy, or? Did we lose Cindy?
Do you see her?
Now that we mention it, not really. I
I
don't
think
see
she
it.
fell off.
We may need to.
Oh, I think Abby, it might be time. Sorry.
All right.
Are you
I
ready
get my
for a
little-
motion, Abby?
Wait, I think, don't we have to make, I'd like to make a motion that in the technical absence of Supervisor Osmond, that the remainder of the meeting, or until she's able to rejoin us, is conducted by Ms. Bigford, our clerk of the board.
This is Marcy, I'll second.
So then I roll.
Yes.
All right. Aldrich,
Yes.
Helmrich,
Yes,
Marcy,
Yes.
Bigford. Yes, motion carries 4-0. Okay, so now that we have that technicality out of the way, I would entertain a motion regarding the strategic plan touchstone.
Okay. This is Aldrich. I'd like to make a motion to accept the proposal from Avon March for Township Hall renovation, architectural, and project management services, and to authorize the township manager to execute necessary requirements for estimated section 1 cost of $27,000.
Motion by Aldrich. Do I have support?
This is Marcy, I'll support. Oh, Osmond's, this is Marcy, I'll support.
Motion by Aldrich, supported by Marcy. I'll call the roll. Bigford, yes. Marcy,
Yes.
Helmrich,
yes.
Aldrich,
Yes. It looks like
Motion
Cindy's
carried.
on again.
okay.
But we should finish the vote first, I think.
I mean, did she get
Yes.
the? Oh,
I don't
okay.
think so.
Oh, no.
Yes, yes, I'm losing again, but I say yes.
Oh, we didn't ask you.
Okay, so motion carries 5-0.
Okay.
Is Cindy there?
Yeah.
I'm here. If you can hear me, I'm here. And I guess Mr. Fry is still up with our next new business item of the MERS policy discussion.
All right, let me just finish one note real quick.
Okay. It's kind of embarrassing when my internet goes out all the time, but
Okay.
I don't
That's
know what
why
to do
it's
about
priority.
it. Get better internet.
Demonstrates the real need.
Mm-hmm.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All righty, so on page 40 is the memo for the policy update. So essentially, this is just an FYI to the board that part of our priority goals, as well as this fiscal year's goal, is to get our pension liability down, which means our fund percentage needs to be higher. In 2017, it was at 38%. And as the board instituted the changes to policy, we have been able to get that up to 51% last year. This year in our fiscal year budget, we did approve around $85,000 to increase that pension percentage. Why this is coming up is MERS had a contribution formula change due to our hybrid plan and some other things that essentially the way we've been processing the increase per month to get that percentage up has changed it where the percentage wouldn't see an increase if we continued this way. And so we have to create a surplus division, which will allow us to make the contribution to see that positive increase in the percent funded. Is everyone with me so far? Okay.
Yes.
So, okay, I just want to make sure, I didn't lose you because it's a little tricky, this one. And because we want to see our reduction of the pension liability, which is our priority goal, we need to just change a couple things, which I will be able to create the surplus division, which will just make a one-time payment into that fund, which will bring it up to the mid-50s. And it is the recommendation that when we talk about next year's fiscal year, that we might hold off on the additional payments and just make the base required payments, as we will be in a comfortable position at that point to have a more in-depth conversation. So the motion before you is to contribute to not exceed $85,000 to MERS pension fund. So that is due to, we have made payments in the past, and we just have to do some math to get to what actually has to be paid in for the rest of the year. Any questions on that?
Helmrich, I have a comment, and thank you, Joe, for going through this. Just a reminder to the board, we've been discussing this fairly seriously for the last 3 years that we've been in our positions. And as he already said, when we took over, the pension fund was only funded at a level of 38%. The state of Michigan frowns upon any municipalities whose pensions funds are funded below 60%. You're considered on their watch list. So we've made tremendous improvement in a very short amount of time. And if we end up at mid-50s at this point this year, I commend all of us for getting to that point, and I endorse what is being presented to us tonight.
I would concur with what John had to say. I think we have done great things in getting this unfunded pension rounded out so it's not so unfunded. So I would also support that. Would someone like to make a motion? I think we maybe lost Stace.
Oh,
I'm here.
okay.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Well, I'm Helmrich. I'd be happy to make this motion. So I move to authorize the township manager to create a surplus division and issue an additional MERS contribution to the pension account to not exceed $85,572.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support. Aldrich.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
Helmrich,
Yes.
Marcy,
Yes.
Osmond, yes. Aldrich,
Yes.
and Bigford.
Yeah.
Motion carries. Moving right along now. Reports. Mr. John, would you like to start with the treasurer's report?
Sure. Since we've been talking about money, I hope you can read that on here, but I'm going to read it to you. So this is my report for October 13th. Our general fund bank balance as of October 1st stood at $2.3 million, flat to September. Total revenues across all funds after the end of our first quarter, yes, we're already moving into second quarter of the fiscal year, revenues are behind budget by 11%, and expenses are behind budget by 15%. In the general fund only, revenue was 4.6% behind budget, and expenses were under by 2.6%. The revenue underages is purely a timing issue, as many of these revenue lines will not see activity until later in the fiscal year based on the winter tax billing cycle. There were no departmental overages to address. Revenues from permits continue well ahead of budget, as do the annual fees we receive for our various marijuana businesses. An update on ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act, which is funding coming from Washington. The state treasury verified last week that our applications are all in order. First payment should arrive by the end of the month. As a reminder, we'll be receiving in total about $355,000, and we believe the first payment will be for about half of that. We're considering housing the ARPA funds in our Michigan class account, as that way we can keep it there safely and release it as needed. Our auditor has said he likes that approach versus there was talk of setting up a separate bank account and new checks and all that. That would cost us money and be a little more cumbersome. So I'm endorsing that we house the funds in the Michigan class account, set up a new account within them. On the investment front, there's a second chart because every quarter I'm supposed to present more detail to you. So there you go. Those are the 5 investment products that we are now in, and our total remains about the same as last month, $1.8 million, pretty much flat to September, as the market in these items has been rather sluggish, but it is holding, and there you see the detail of where our money is currently invested. Thank you, Joe. You can go back to the treasurer's report. And moving on. All right, update on the 2021 tax year, which is now half over. The summer tax deadline was September 14th. And the really positive news is we've received payment from 93% of our 3,000 properties or parcels, which I think is a pretty incredibly high rate. I still will send out late notices to the 200 or so bills that have not been paid, and those will go out before the end of the month. The consent agenda, which we approved earlier, just so you're clear on this, the disbursement amounts that we've made, payout number 6, which was made a couple weeks ago, was for $1.628 million. Payment 7, which will go out tomorrow, depending on how smoothly the bank transition goes to Huntington, that will total $2.206 million, probably the biggest one of this tax season. As I just mentioned, just so you're aware, our bank ownership changed officially, formally, in all sorts of ways yesterday. We are now banking with Huntington, and I just want to say it's been a rough transition. Their online banking and their protocols and their security measures are much more complicated than they were with Chemical and TCF, but we're getting through it. Lori had a breakthrough today getting payroll paid, and my test will be tomorrow getting this disbursement out. I do have some concerns which are shared with the city's treasurer, Peter Stanislavski. There seem to be a lot of new fees being imposed on us by Huntington that we never had to pay before. And it's possible in the new year, we might be recommending a change to perhaps going back to Macatawa, but we'll give Huntington a break. We'll see how they go. But the support's been good and frustrating, with wait time on phones for help with these changes as much as 45 minutes, which we're dealing with. And I forgot to bake this bullet, but in 2 weeks, my favorite week of the year, October 25th through 27th, the team of auditors will be on site and going through everything. And that's always a challenge. It mostly affects Lori and myself on those 3 days, but I think it's going to go even smoother this year because it's gotten better each of the last 3 years. Any questions on the treasurer's report? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
Is Cindy on?
She's muted.
Yep.
Oh,
I will,
there-
committee reports, I can go ahead and start with road commission. If somebody would like to address that, or is that report in our packet?
Joe?
There's not a written report. Marcy and I did have a committee meeting the other day. We just went over what we've been talking about the last couple months, which is road safety, how we're going to move forward with addressing the public's concerns regarding Old Allegan and Blue Star in general. We are looking at short-term options, but also looking at very long-term options for addressing them, so that we can let the people know that we are looking at everything from addressing lights to maybe possible road changes. We also talked about pedestrian safety and how we can not just move cars around the township, but people walking and biking throughout the township. And we did talk about working closely with the road commission on addressing those issues, as well as looking at the public engagement for setting 2024's road plan. So what roads we would be working on. We did talk about how we would go about doing that through a survey and public engagement process. Anything I missed, Marcy?
No, I don't think so. And I just really want people to know that we are on this. We are, it is a priority, especially for me, since I cross that intersection probably 5 times a day. I don't even know how long, and ride my bike there, but it is a concern. And I even noticed, I think it was the fire report where they are calling it crash corner. So we're working on it. Just wanted people to know. So, thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Brenda. Parks Commission, I can't remember if we had a written report or not.
Excuse me, you skipped planning commission.
Fire board.
All right,
skipped
fire board.
Fire board, too.
Fire board's
In
next.
the packet.
Fire board is next.
Yeah, it's in
We
the
we
packet.
do have a written, is
Yeah.
there any high points you want to go
No,
over?
not really. I didn't know if I'd be back in time for this, so I just submitted it. Like, no, it was a short meeting and, probably the crash corner was a big
Well,
time.
thank you, Stacy, for putting that together for us.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
And now we'll go to Mr. John about the Planning Commission.
All right. Well, the easy part is the planning commission did not meet in last month, so there's no formal report on that. I did just want to mention a couple things, though. This Friday, as you know, that the board approved 4 special subcommittees of the planning commission. The chairs of 3 of these committees, rural conservation, rural character and conservation, attainable housing, and economic development. The 3 of us are sitting down for the first time as chairs just to share updates with each other, because we don't, a couple of people are on 2 committees, but not everyone knows what the flow is. And there's overlap, and we just want to, touch base, because all the committees have been in pretty high gear of late, which is great. And then the Blue Star Safety Committee, there's been a move. It'll be formally done at the next planning commission meeting, but that subcommittee is being dissolved. That was chaired by Dave Eiley, and primarily because everything on their agenda and everything they were coming up with to discuss is really under the purview of the County Road Commission. And as we just heard from Joe and Brenda, that's being addressed. So that special committee will be dissolved. The next planning commission is Monday, October 25th. And one other note I shared with everyone today, I'm not going to go through it now, but we had asked a couple of months ago, we, the board, had asked the planning commission, which then took it to the special committee on rural character, to report back to us with some details on the pros and cons of a potential historic district along the river mouth and perhaps other areas of the river. Daniel DeFranco chairs that special committee. And as you know, because he's also on recycling committee, he writes really in-depth and helpful update memos. That's what I sent out to you today. I'd like to make sure you all read that. At the November board meeting, we will have a much more formal presentation on pros and cons relative to a historic district, and if that's something we want to pursue or not. And that is my update.
Thank you, John. That was very good. Our next one is now Parks Commission. Mr. Fry, do you have a comment?
So a couple updates from the Park Commission. I do apologize, didn't put in the Parks report that I sent to them, but just a couple highlights. The new board members were sworn in, and we were able to meet the other day, and it was very nice because everyone was there. We actually had 5 members in one meeting, and it was very nice after almost a year of kind of being hit or miss. They did approve the bylaw amendments. they have to do it in a two-step process. They have to accept that they were going to make amendments, and then next month they will approve those amendments. That will bring their quorum from 4 out of 5 to 3 out of 5, which will allow them to function better and more effectively without that high threshold. We also talked about how we can move forward and as a very tight team. They're looking at putting trails in at north of the dog park, which I think they might find a name for, so that there would be essentially 2 parks. I'm not sure they're having that conversation, which is good. New commissioners, Butler and Dickey, were very active in the meeting, which everyone appreciated. They are looking at doing their annual park report as well. They walk around and they assess what's going on in the parks. We talked to us about some operational things, as well as I gave them an update that the trail embankment north of the fire department has started work. So the engineers are talking about that it should be by the mid next week, and the next week it should be completed. So that's good news. So that is it for the park commission. The next one I'm up to, the Cal Lake update is we did increase wages for employees to be competitive with the local authorities in our region, because it is very hard to find qualified employees, and we want to make sure that we retain our employees and they aren't headhunted or want to leave, and they feel like working for Cal Lake is a very good work environment. So we did approve that, and that was unanimous. We did finalize within the last month a property purchase out towards Old Algon for future expansions of the plant. And it has been a very fun commission meeting. I do enjoy going to them, and I'm thankful for the board of appointing me to be a commissioner there. So there's that. Any questions on that?
Yeah, Joe. Okay, all right,
Okay.
all right. With the staff pay raises, was that done as like a uniform percentage, or was it kind of case by case, or in job by job?
It was job by job, and we did hire our law firm, and they did the wage comparison and
Okay,
worked with Director Van Dyke,
right.
Manager Van Dyke, and got a proposal, and we did accept it. It was brought to us. We did table it so that we as commissioners can look into it in more depth. We had a special meeting to discuss that, and it was approved.
Okay, and what's their total staff number? Do you know offhand? Number of
I don't
employees.
know exactly, but it's between 15 and 20.
Okay, no, I didn't know it was that large. That's great. Thank you.
And they have been quite busy, the staff, because of the different weather events.
Sure.
Making sure everything's up to date and moving along, as well as there has been some water main extension projects within the cities. Daryl has been quite on top of keeping up to the lead and copper rule, and keeping us up to date and abreast of what changes and what's going on. So he's
Good to hear.
keeping us informed.
Thank you, Joe. Emergency Services Committee, I don't think there is a report. Is that correct?
Correct.
Interurban, you have a written report in your packet. Recycling Committee, I don't think we had a report.
I don't think so. No, we did not this month.
And Harbor Authority, We did have Mr. Waskin on the line, but I don't see him anymore.
Oh,
Yes.
He's here.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm becoming addicted to your meetings, evidently.
Well, you have the floor.
Thank you. I do have a written report that I did submit to Joe, which should be in your packet. I know they are waiting on the three managers of the cities and the township to get together. I don't know, Joe, if that's happened yet or not.
We have met, but which topic?
The topic about rotating the meetings between the three municipalities and the responsibilities between the three municipalities.
Yes, so we have talked about that briefly, and I believe we are all in agreement that we are fine with rotating. It's just the more details about when and how and who's doing what that we have to finish getting together.
Okay, and then unfortunately, Holly did not get the right any update on when the meeting and where the meeting was because they had a mistype in her email address. So Holly was not able to attend the last meeting and she felt really bad about that, but she will attend the next meeting next week. So hopefully we can all be on board and up to
we'll
speed.
finally have two representatives.
Finally have two representatives. Exactly.
Hooray, hooray.
Exactly. And only one other thing outside the report that came up was one of the members asked about the new fireboat because everybody heard that it sunk. It's kind of then nobody ever heard any follow-up after that to the why and what the repairs are and what happened to the new fireboat. So they asked if we could have an update on that to see what happened.
Has
I
that
think-
been directed to Chief
I got
Janik?
it. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say that answer would come from Chief Janik and the fire department.
Well, he talked to me this morning about it and he wanted to call all the board members and he started with me, so I'm not sure he finished that yet. So I kind of don't want to answer until he's told the board members what's happening. So I can call you when he gives me the green light to tell you what's going on. It's, I just don't want to overstep if he hasn't informed the board members yet.
No, I get it. But
So
yeah,
I'll-
it was just a
I'll
question
call
that was
tomorrow,
asked.
I'll let you know. Pardon me?
Right. I said it was just a question that was asked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just don't want to say because I know he hasn't told us all, so before I don't want to jump the gun.
And that's all I have. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. The next item is the manager report.
All righty. So just a couple of highlights through the report. We are working on getting the final details to the settlement agreement. The court has finalized the agreement to the Bodish lawsuit. We are now waiting on the indemnification agreement conversation. So the attorney and the insurance company are going through that. And there is a scheduled special meeting for next week, Wednesday at 10, that will be going over that with the board. For operations and finances, chart of accounts, you are required to update those per the state GAAP SPE, the accounting requirements from the state. The accountants are scheduled to work with us to get that upgraded, as well as make some internal changes to our systems so that we can be more transparent to the public through our budget process. So that will be around $2,000 to do that process max. The building department has started beta testing residential projects so that we can process building permits through better. That's going very well. We just started commercial building projects. Supervisor Osman assisted us in the creation of our rental permit update. So we are currently going through how we want to process those starting in the new fiscal year. So there will be some changes that we'll be sending some letters out to individuals who own rentals, so to allow them to know further changes and what we're doing here, so that we can better track them within the township. We, Administrator Wells and I will be working on the process and procedures for planning and zoning, so we can track those through BSNA and better process things between when they go to PC to when they get to building approval. Through this process, once we get this internalized items addressed, we will be working with our outside partners, which includes the fire department and contractors, to bring them in to this process so things will nicely flow between us and everyone involved in a permit process. So we are looking forward to that. I did talk to Chief Janik on that, and he's looking forward to working with us on that as well. I'm currently still working on the wage and benefit comparison report. That's going well, and I've been able to work very hand in hand with my fellow managers, which is very nice. During this budget, everything, I'm looking at our fee schedule so that we are prepared for our upcoming fiscal year. The website branding, jumping down, the steering committee, which consists of myself, Trustee Aldrich, and Clerk Bigford. We had our initial meeting and approved the discovery phase that will be emailed to you all tomorrow, so that you can see what was discovered about ourselves. It was a very reflective conversation, and I'm confident that it really reflects what everyone thinks about, because what we talked about is I've heard every one of you say similar things to what we got into that report. So that will be going out for some feedback. And then I will send an update once I talk to the team about when they will be doing the next phase. The main section of this branding phase is designing things. So they're going to start working on getting draft items from that discovery phase, which will then come to the board for suggestions and feedback. So there's that. And that's it. That's all the things I have right now. Once we get to the branding, just a backup there, we are projected to be completed with this in December and January. So at the end of November, beginning December, I will be putting the website RFP out to get proposals so that we can have this nice overlap between getting our brand and design work completed, and then we'll have the website developer come in and prepare a website. And I know John's going to ask this of me. We are going to be looking at getting .gov. So we'll go from .org to .gov, which is highly recommended for municipal governments. So we'll be looking at that in the future. So I preempted you, John.
Hey, I knew you were on it. And it's much safer security wise.
Correct.
Less hackable.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. That's a great report. A lot of stuff in it. Open board report. I'll just go in alphabetical order, if that's okay with you. Aldrich?
I don't think I have anything.
Thank you. Bigford?
Nope, I don't have anything.
Elmrick?
Yes, I only have one thing, and it's kind of been covered. So I was glad that Glenna DeJong was able to join us tonight. I just want to, as I said, urge everyone to read the materials that she's going to submit to us. I have another, just a one-pager that I will circulate tomorrow. And I would like us to consider either individually as board members or simply as residents or possibly as a board weighing in on this issue of, much less representation, and for us on the lake shore, much weakened presentation. because we don't have much in common with Hopkins, but we have a lot in common with our neighbors to the south on the lake shore. So that's it. And I don't know, 9 a.m. on October 20th, and I guess the county commission meets in person. I'm thinking of maybe going. I don't know if anyone else might like to. I've never been to a county commission meeting, which would be interesting. I was heartened to hear that our commissioner, Kapinga, spoke against the changing of the number of districts, which makes no sense. As Glenna pointed out, Allegheny County is one of the top 5 by percentage growth rate counties in the state. And we all know that our own township grew in the new census by 18%. And it doesn't make sense that you're cutting down on representation. That's all I wanted to share.
Thank you, John. Marcy, do you have a open board report?
No, I do not.
And Osman, all I have to add is not only will I really consider Glenna's proposal, but I will respond in writing to all our county commissioners and remind everybody that on October 20 at 10 o'clock, we have our special meeting to go into closed session.
Right.
So John, while you could go, you would
Guess
have
I
to
won't
stay
be
a
there.
very short amount of time.
I wish it was on Zoom. That'd be easier, but thanks for reminding me. I don't have my calendar in front of me. All the more reason for us to write, either individually or collectively.
Okay,
I think we're all on the same page with it, so maybe collectively would make the most sense, just not to have to duplicate, that
Right.
work.
yeah, I agree with that. And I'm sure we can communicate by phone and share that with each other. Public comments. We're open once again to public comments. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make any comments at this time? Raise your hand or make a motion or let us hear you. I'm not seeing anybody who wants to make a public comment. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
This is Marcy. I will move that we adjourn this meeting at 7:20 p.m.
This is Aldrich. I'll support.
Any support?
Me, Stacy Aldrich.
Okay. Marcy,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Bigford,
Yes?
Helmrich,
Yes.
Osmond, yes, motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.